Welcome to West Country Wanderings, and a big welcome to my Stroudwater and Thames and Severn Canal update number 5. In fact, we've been to this location before. I think it was update number 1 when I showed you the Whitminster roundabout, which opened, I think it was last year now, when they've done that fantastic construction here and put the canal through the middle of the roundabout. That lies just behind me. In fact, closer to me is this Second World War pillbox. Obviously nothing directly to do with the railway. You'll come across a number of these around the Stroudwater Canal. Just tell you a little bit about them before I go into the detail of the update. What are we going to be covering here today? In fact, I'll probably be filming this over a couple of days, so excuse if I've changed clothing and the weather's changed in between some of the shots. But there's a ring of these pillboxes dotted around this area. In fact, we're some 30 or so miles north of the city of Bristol here, and if you can look at a map, I'll see if I can find it online. If I have, I'll insert that now. There was a perimeter, a ring, like of steel, not literally of steel, of course, but they used a home guard and these in defensive positions all around Bristol, as they were quite some distance from Bristol here. I can't see it, as I say, it's 30 miles down the A38 and the M5 there. But they used it to defend the port of Bristol. So if the land of England had become invaded by the Germans during the Second World War, there would be these strategic positions where they couldn't get past, like an inner ring of protection, defensive protection. And as I say, they were used with the home guard, and you can see all the way. So as well as being up north from Bristol here in Gloucestershire, it went some 30 miles south right into the county of Somerset and over towards Wiltshire as well. Bristol wasn't the only city thus protected. I think Birmingham was as well, and also ports like Liverpool. So these are there, and you'll come across these dotted around. They often actually follow the River Frome here, which I've said before flows between starts actually at to where it was the other day at Brimsfield on the Cotswolds there, makes its way in a westerly direction, flowing into the River Severn at Framalode. What I'm going to do in the update today is to give you a little bit of more information about what's happening, and then once we've given you an update on the news, the latest news to do with Cotswolds Connected and the work that's going to be done on the canal over the next few years here to reconnect it to the network again, we're going to have a tour of the Thames and Severn Canal as it travels through the village of Chalford, which lies just 2 or 3 miles east of the wall town of Stroud. So why not join me here for another canal update? In case you what this is around my neck, it's a lanyard. No, I'm not just popped out of work with a pass from work or anything like that at all. It's actually a tip from my fellow YouTuber Roy Edwards. Thank you, Roy. The Rode microphone I use, I've got a couple of Rode microphones. One I use on the camera itself, but if I'm doing pieces to camera further away from the microphone, you get a clearer voice by using the wireless Rode mics. The only trouble is with these, they're brilliant mics, but they can, obviously, if you're moving your hands around or walking, they can fall off. I haven't lost one, but Roy did a review of this microphone the other day and come up with a suggestion of tying a lanyard to it. So if you do knock it off, you're not going to lose the microphone, because obviously they're not cheap. And the elastic band around the little fluffy is just to protect that falling off as well. So thanks for those tips, Roy. So I don't need to get involved in any extra expenditure, hopefully. So that's brilliant. So thanks again. So yeah, with that, just to let you know, I'm standing in front of the Stroudwater Canal. Just thinking where I was now. Is this Stroudwater or Thames and Severn? No, this is the Stroudwater Canal. So Saul Junction is probably about 1.5 miles facing down that way, and we covered that when we did the update number, I think it was 4, number 4, the last one, when I showed you the works down at Wheatonhurst, where you've got that weir and that very low bridge there, which needs to be. So that's just 1.5 miles down the towpath here. And we also had that gas pipeline, so that was down there. That's about 3/4 mile across that way as well. And when we did the gas pipeline there that needs to be, or aviation fuel pipeline, that of course needs to be replaced. I haven't heard any more about that yet, but obviously you'll get all the updates here. So if you want more canal updates on the Stroudwater and Thames and Severn and other canals as well, then hit the subscribe, and I'll do my very best to share the information with you. So yeah, Stroudwater behind me. Where it was down there was water in the canal, and it has all been cleared out thanks to the brilliant volunteers of the Cotswolds Canal Trust, who've been doing sterling work to get this canal connected. Still, obviously, it's congested with weeds here, though the canal is in this section. It is a bit dry. There is a little bit of water now, obviously we're in winter, but yeah, that section is still to be done in terms of clearing out. But of course, the other side of the Whitminster roundabout, which is just over that way, is our missing mile, where there is no canal and where it needs to get through the M5, which you would have seen on my previous updates. Now, just to bring you up to speed, a new plan for the works on the canal has recently, I think it was a couple of weeks ago, been submitted to Stroud District Council. They're the local council that cover this area. Those plans have now gone in. And just to confirm that when I did that bit at the M5, I wasn't sure whether we're going to go with that, getting the canal going underneath the M5 by the River Froome, using the same bridge, the actual bridge that the M5 built over the River Froome all those years ago, back in the early 70s, or whether they're going to use that other, I think it was a Cattle Creek combined footpath one. No, they're actually going to use the River Froome plan. That is the plan they're going with. That's the plans that have been submitted. I've come to this location just to tell you about a couple of other plans here. There's a field just down that one. I'll do a little close-up. We'll pan around in a bit so you can see that. Then there's a country lane which goes to a pub called the Froome Bridge, which is just over that way there. Interesting building. If you haven't been there, check it out. If you're in this area, you can see the mill buildings there in the mill pond, so that's worth having a look at. If I got time, I'll walk down and do some shots of that. But the reason I mentioned the field is because alongside those plans for the canal going under the M5, there's also plans to build a visitor centre here at this spot here at Froome Bridge, to have a car park for people to access the towpath at this point, to also have a cafe and perhaps a Canal and River Trust when it opens to the network, or the Cotswolds Connected, a visitor shop, like a shop like they've got in Stroud. They've got one in Saul Junction, and I believe they've now got one at Brimscombe as well. So to tell people more about the history of the canal, and if they want to get involved in volunteering with the canal to help its restoration. So those plans have gone in. So we've got the bridge, the M5 bridge, and the associated works to get the canal through, the car park, cafe and visitor centre here at Froome Bridge. So that's really great news. So was really pleased to see that. Hasn't been finally approved yet, but as soon as that happens, I'll bring up a date to that. If I've got a link, find a link for that, so you can go on to, presumably it'll be Stroud District Council's website. I'm sure it'll be on the Cotswolds Canals Connected website as well. So I'll drop those links in. I've got any more information that will appear on the screen round about now. But I'll just do a pan around just to see where exactly that will be. So I'm back at the ocean in Stonehouse. You see that's the bridge there in front of me that was replaced over the Christmas period. And obviously trains are back running on that again, but still work is taking place here. Just been witnessing some girders being placed in to reinforce the stability of that embankment there. There is currently a speed limit on the main line going across the bridge for that reason. And of course, once those girders have been put in, steel girders there, that you can just see the rods going in now. There it goes. Let's put that one in. That will reinforce that stability of that embankment, obviously, because when it gets wet, it could potentially slide, but that is going to make sure that that doesn't happen. And then obviously once that work has been completed, they can then start working on the dredging of the ocean, and then the towpath can then be installed underneath the bridge and then reopened for the end of March. I've now come to a location on the Thames and Severn Canal. This is the Thames and Severn Canal here, on a place called Chalford, which is about 3 miles to the east of the town of Stroud, which we did the walk from Stroud. In fact, I started it before Stroud, and we saw where the Thames and Severn and the Stroudwater canals meet at a place called Wallbridge. So we're some 3 miles further to east of that now. In fact, Sapperton Tunnel, which I will cover in a future video, lies just another approximately 3 miles to the east of me from where I am at the moment. Reason I've just stopped here, I thought, well, a couple of reasons. I would show you a little bit about the canal through Chalford. I've never been here before. I've been to Chalford through it, but not actually explored the canal part of it. So I wanted to do that. And I just wanted to show you some bits of interesting architecture, and there are 5 of them across the Thames and Severn Way. So maybe you can guess what they are before we film those. We already saw one in update number 4 the other day, so have a guess at that. Hopefully I can find the one here. And the point here is that the A419, which is the main road that goes between Stroud and the Roman town of Cirencester, just another 10 or 12 miles further to the east of here. The road builders in their infinite wisdom, at some point when this canal became disused in the 1930s, decided to slice through the canal here. So you have water in the canal at this point here, but there is a little bit of a waterfall. Obviously that wasn't there when the canal was built, and now the canal can no longer pass through. So obviously the next piece of work to be done once the canal is completed between Stroud and Saul Junction, at a future point, I can't remember the update number of it, probably 1D or E, I can't remember, I'll drop it in below. So we're talking about a long time in the future. Well, obviously to put a bridge in here so the A419 can go over the canal. So this spot here is absolutely delightful. Got the River Frome running just down in the bottom there, and up the embankment is our Thames and Severn Canal, obviously disused, but hopefully at some point it will be restored. But yeah, beautiful spot here. We come away from the settlement part of the village and the valley, Golden Valley as it's known. I think it got that name from Queen Victoria, who passed through on the railway between Swindon and Gloucester. I'll check that, stick that in if that's the case, I'm sure, but it's called the Golden Valley either way. I think she went through it during the autumn, seeing the golden leaves. I think that was something to do with it. But it's a beautiful valley. Once you're away from that road, the road is a pain, and it's quiet. There's no trains going through at the moment, so it's just beautiful here. There's the parish council, Chalford Parish Council, put in a lovely recreation place for the children here, all the slides and equipment for children, and it's just so quiet. Just come into this little bit of woodland here, and I say the canal's just over there. Really nice. In the Chalford Valley, you have the River Frome, you see the Thames and Severn Canal, you also have the railway and the road, and the valley floor is quite narrow, so they're all running quite tightly together. In fact, the village has very little room to play with on the valley floor, which is why the houses are built up the steep-sided banks of the valley here. Now, just behind me is one of the Thames and Severn Canal's roundhouses. They were built by the Thames and Severn Canal Company. In fact, there's 5 of them, like I mentioned earlier in the video, between here and Lechlade. In fact, we saw the other one when I did update number 4 at Inglesham, just over the border in Wiltshire, where it's near that lock where the canal enters the River Thames. So this is the first roundhouse that you come to if you're walking along the Thames and Severn towpath from the direction of Stroud. So let's say we're about 3 miles to the east of Stroud, and they were used, well, variously for canal employees generally. After they were built, you would have had people that were using the locks, and here there was quite a bit of a wharf. We've got a large lake down there, which would have been where there was a basin. The canal itself is just to the right of me. There is water in it. It's full of reeds, but obviously they've actually, well, not obviously, but they've actually put a lot of the canal at this point into culverts, so it disappears in sections around Chalford where they've done road widening schemes and built industrial bits and pieces, that kind of thing, so you can't actually see it all the time. But yeah, one of the fabulous roundhouses, and I'll insert some photographs for you to see this delightful roundhouse. It is private property, so I can't get any closer to it, but that's the best shots I can get from the road. So you have one of the many mills along the Chalford Valley, indeed the whole of the Golden Valley, and going into Stroud and back out the other side where it goes all the way along through Eastington up to Saul Junction. So because of the river and the water supply, that's why there's lots of mills, and it's certainly attested to it being fast flowing. In fact, the road just below me has been flooded over the winter time here. So yeah, wonderful mill behind me, and there's a mill pond there, and I'll just insert a photograph of that as well now. So that's all for today on West Country Wanderings. I hope you enjoyed canal update number 5 here at the Stroudwater and the Thames and Severn Canal. I'll bring you all the latest as the developments happen in terms of making that canal westward till it joins up to the Gloucester Sharpness Canal, and anything else that happens that I'm aware of, I'll bring it to you here on my channel. So if you like that kind of thing, then hit the subscribe and bell, and then YouTube will tell you when the next update uploads. Plenty of other stuff on my channel if you want to check that out. There'll be another video along in the not too distant future. Until then, take care of yourselves, look after yourselves. Hope to see you all again very, very soon. Cheers now. Goodbye.